So I've got a couple of experiences and stories, just things that I've noticed and learned that I wanted to share with you guys. Um, First one is just a general observation about driving over here. I know a lot of you guys, um, I'm sure I know, especially my family at least, are curious about just some of the general experiences and are kind of living vicariously through me. I know that's what my dad says. Um, I just want to know more about, what it's like here in general, just everyday basic things. Um, the roadways, for the most part, have been similar, very similar to the U.S. in terms of quality and construction, the way it operates, and traffic flow and whatnot. Um, I'll say it seems like drivers here have more intention in terms of being in the right-hand lane unless they are passing somebody. So like very frequently, there'll be nobody at all in the left-hand lane other than people passing. And there's been a couple of times where I've just naturally found myself driving in the left-hand lane when I shouldn't be, and have had people come up behind me and flash their lights like, "Hey, get over! You're not supposed to be here." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, my bad." And I get over it. And so it definitely does seem like they have. I don't know if courtesy is the right word. I don't think that it's necessarily Americans are rude, um, but it just seems like they're more intentional about that. That's interesting. Uh, the speed limits are not always clear, like they're not always posted. I guess there's more or less a national law in terms of speed limit. It's not designed by cities and states and counties and whatnot like back home. Uh, Seems like more or less anytime you're in a city or around like buildings in general, the speed limit is 50. 50 again, this is in kilometers per hour, not miles per hour. So it's equivalent of basically 30, 31 miles per hour, close, comparable to 30. Anytime you're in a city, it's basically, it's 50 kilometers, 30 miles. Um, there are stretches inside cities frequently, it seems like, where there are speed bumps and where it collapses down to one lane, small cities at least, where you have to alternate in which direction gets to go. And there's a designated side of the road that has the right of way. And most of the time in those sections, it's 30 kilometers per hour, which is about 18 miles per hour. Anytime you're in a section of roadway that is outside the city, it's assumed that the speed limit is 80, which is about 50 miles per hour, 80 kilometers per hour, 50 miles per hour, pretty close. Divided highways that have at least two lanes, I believe those are always, unless otherwise posted, they're always 110, 110 kilometers per hour, which correlates to about, 68 miles per hour, I believe, about 68 miles per hour. And then they have basically their equivalent of an interstate, um, which is almost always 130 kilometers per hour, which is like 82, 84 US in terms of 78 maybe miles per hour. So yeah, that's kind of how the roadways seem to work. A lot of times going into a city, it's not posted that it drops from 80 to 50. It's just you're supposed to know that because that's how it is across the whole country. So there's actually been several times where I've been going at 80 or so, and all of a sudden I'm in a city, and all of a sudden there's like a speed warning light flashing, like warning. I can't read what it says, but it's warning me that I'm going faster than I should. So yeah, that's happened. I hopefully don't have any speeding tickets coming to me or something from that. It's pure accident. Also, a large portion of the interstates, their version of interstates at least, are toll roads. They almost all are, and their tolls are expensive. Like Orlando area has nothing on these expensive. I drove on a toll road today for maybe 10 miles at the most, and it cost $4. If I had stayed on that toll road for the whole way today, it would have been like $45. The first day I took a toll road on accident without realizing they were toll roads, and it was like $16. They're expensive tolls. Start taking the longer routes that are slower, that go through a lot of the small cities, just because they don't have tolls. So I think that's been a good decision. It is costing more in gas and time, but I don't really have a big rush to get somewhere for the most part. So yeah, that's been some of my experiences on the roadways. Gasoline here costs significantly more. They do everything by the metric system, of course. So liters instead of gallons, and obviously the currency is the euro instead of the dollar, and the cars and distances are all measured in kilometers instead of miles. But if my math is correct, and I'm usually pretty good at doing the kind of conversions, it's coming out to something like $6 to $7 per gallon for gas. And the car that I have right now gets a little bit better gas mileage than the one I have back home, but not that much. Like I might be getting 40 miles per gallon, maybe. So I'm looking at spending, like I said, about $6 to $7 per gallon for gas, and getting just marginally further on it. So yeah, that hurts. I'm looking forward to coming back home for that, if nothing else. And on that note, on it being expensive over here, these past 2 days I've been in Switzerland. Switzerland does not use the euro; they use the Swiss franc, which abbreviation I believe is actually CHF for some reason. Switzerland, I did not know this ahead of time, but Switzerland is incredibly expensive, pretty much across the board. I was in Geneva, which is just over the border into France, something like 4 kilometers away. It's really not far, and just the price jumps were ridiculous. To give you guys just some comparisons of items that you guys would be familiar with, I went to a shopping mall that was across from my hotel. I was looking at prices of things, and they had a McDonald's in the food court, which McDonald's is like the McDonald's here that I've seen are admittedly much nicer quality places than back home. They look nice. I'd almost say comparable to like a Chipotle in terms of cleanliness and how modern it, or maybe Starbucks would be comparable. They all had touchscreen orders, like order screens. But to give you guys a comparison, a regular cheeseburger at a McDonald's here is about $3.50, and to get a Big Mac meal with medium fries and medium drink in Switzerland was going to cost 15 francs, which is about $16. That's expensive. I don't normally order a Big Mac meal, but to my memory, that's about double, if not a little bit more, from what it normally is. A coffee at Starbucks was like $5.50, $6. Let's see. To get a bagel sandwich was going to be like $11 or $12. At what was kind of like the equivalent of like Einstein's Bagels, just a plain sandwich, just normal sandwich. I went and saw Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man, last night, and that cost me almost $23. It was expensive. And from what I've seen and what I've determined, pretty much across the board in Switzerland, things are expensive like that. There's a handful of things that are cheaper. It seems like tech is cheaper generally, but most other things are more expensive. So yeah, that was a shock, a unexpected discovery from the past couple of days. When I planned to go to Geneva, I did not plan on that. Considering how close it is to France and that it's cheaper in France, if one of you guys is considering going to Geneva, I would consider staying in France and coming across the border since they have an open border and everything. Yeah. Let's see. One more story I wanted to share with you guys today, and this is more of a story than an actual, like, discovery or just kind of explanation of how things are over here. So today I had a almost 6-hour drive from Geneva to where I'm at now. Rodez, I believe is how it's pronounced. I had an almost 6-hour drive. And like I said, I stayed off the toll roads. So it took longer, and it was mostly through smaller cities. Unexpectedly to me, I'm driving along about 4 hours into my drive. And as I'm driving along, I'm on a 2-lane road, 1 lane each way, and they're good-sized lanes. And I'm in between cities, so I'm going 80 kilometers per hour, 50 miles per hour. And all of a sudden, I see a bicyclist coming towards me. And that's not anything too different. There's a lot of cyclists here. They do that. They bicycle around for exercise and for commuting way more than we do, and I love that about this. So I see a bicyclist, and a couple of seconds later, I see another one, and a couple of seconds later, I see like 2 or 3 more, and then I go around a curve and up over like a little, crest, and I can see 10, 15 of them coming towards me, spread out, not biking together like in a peloton or in a big group. They're all spread out. And for the next 5 or 6 miles or so, consistently coming across cyclists every couple of seconds, 1s and 2s. And they are all on nice bikes. They're all wearing nice helmets in racing type gear. It's not the Tour de France. That's not where I'm going with this. It turned out there was a triathlon going on. I'm not sure exactly what distance or where it was held. But as I'm coming along, I am going against, they're coming towards me, a triathlon, a group of cyclists. And so that was cool until it wasn't. After a 5, 6, 7 miles, something like that of encountering cyclists, I get to my next turn. And my next turn is where they're coming from. And at this point, I've crossed at least 200 or 300, if not closer to 500 or 700 cyclists on the road. And they're coming. They're increasingly, more and more so coming. I'm not getting to the end. I'm getting to the middle of the group. And so the road I need to turn on is closed. There are security and whatnot there directing traffic to go a different route. And I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I'm lost in the middle of France. And so I can't turn, so I go straight. And this is a pretty mountainous area. It's not quite in the Pyrenees or the Alps, but it's somewhere in between where there's just a lot of oscillating going up and down, up and down. And GPS tries to reroute, and then finally GPS comes up with a new path. And so I go continuing kind of up a mountain, and GPS says, okay, turn right. And I turn right. And I'm on still a 2-lane road, but it's a smaller road. The lanes are narrower. They've gone from maybe 10 feet down to like 7 or 8 feet. It's a pretty snug road, and it's going winding, constantly winding, never straight, never flat, up and down, going more or less up a mountain. Kind of through a village, I guess is what you describe it as. It was small, and it keeps having me wind up through this like village and up the mountain. And GPS says in 200 meters, turn right, and I don't see anything up there to turn, and turn right, and so I turn right down like what looks like a very, very narrow 2-lane road. Looks more like 1 lane that's just a really wide lane. The whole roadway is probably about 10 feet wide. And okay, and I'm going, and it keeps turning and going up and down, and I'm starting to get nervous. Where's GPS taking me? And it says in 800 meters, turn right. And so when I finally get there, I turn right, and I swear it looked like a driveway. It looked like I was turning down somebody's driveway. And GPS says in 3.7 kilometers, turn left onto some road that I've never heard of that I can't pronounce. And so I go down this road, and it is literally a roadway that's about 8 feet wide. And on one side is a cliff edge, and the other side is like grass and rocks. And so I'm thinking to myself, oh God, please do not let a car come towards me. And so I'm going, and the speed limit's 80, and I'm thinking, there's not a chance in hell that I can go 80 down this road. And so it keeps winding. Every 100 meters at the most, I'm turning right, or I'm turning left. Not turning, but the road is winding to the right, winding to the left. Hard, sharp turns where you have to hit the brakes. And I'm thinking, oh God, please do not let a car come towards me. And I get down to the last 200 meters before my turn. And by this point, I'm no longer like up in the mountain. I've been coming down for most of the way, and I'm down to where it's like there's no longer a cliff edge. It's kind of just grassy meadow. And I swear, it looks like I could be going down somebody's driveway. And when I get to about 200 meters left, there is a like farm tractor driving towards me, carrying 2 bales of hay in the back. And on the side of it, there's maybe 3 feet of space for my car. And so seeing that, I hit the brakes. I go as far over to the right as I can without risking hitting something or damaging the car. And I just stop and say, oh, please just let this guy go around me. And he's just tractoring along slowly and surely. He goes right around me. And I breathing out a sigh of relief. I finally got past this. And so I accelerate and go that 200 meters or so and get to the end and turn right. And as soon as I turn right on that road, get into a bigger road, is actually 2 actual lanes now. Right there in the middle of the road is just this big old rooster just clucking along, head bobbing, glock, glock, whatever the sound he's making is, just clucking right there in the middle of the road. And I pull up and I hit the brakes and come within a couple of feet of him, and he's just slowly strutting across the road into some backyard looking for some chicken, some hen to, I don't know. But anyway, that was the whole time that was going on. I'm thinking to myself, this is terrifying, but I'm also like cracking up. This is hilarious that this is happening. Just odd experience in the middle of France. So there you go. Hopefully that was a little bit funny. It was enjoyable, but it was also terrifying for me. All right. Hope you guys are having a great day, night, whatever. I'll catch up with you all soon.